Now, police are looking for missing university chef Claudia Lawrence, and they've begun searching a search operation in gravel pits around 8 miles from her home in York. Miss Lawrence went missing 12 years ago, and police believe she was murdered, although no body.
In the city of York, a mysterious event has haunted the community for over a decade. Claudia Lawrence, a 35-year-old chef, vanished in March 2009. Her bright smile and laughter once filled the University of York's kitchens, but she disappeared without a trace. The investigation that followed was one of the most baffling cases in British history. Despite many leads, the trail went cold. The absence of a body and the silence of those who might know the truth have deepened the sense of despair.
It's been the not knowing all along, and it's been carrying on as though everything's normal when it isn't. My lifestyle and what I'm involved in, and people say, will you come to this, will you come to that, will you do this, that and the other, and you put a good face on, but inside it's very different.
Claudia's disappearance has had a profound impact on her loved ones, leaving a gaping void in their lives. The search for answers continues, fueled by the hope that one day the truth will be revealed and justice will be served. Claudia Lawrence was a cheerful and reliable woman who lived alone in a modest terraced house on Heworth Road in York. She genuinely enjoyed her job as a chef at Goodricke College at the University of York, even though it required her to start work in the early hours of the morning. At work, she was highly regarded for her punctuality and strong work ethic, earning the respect of her colleagues and supervisors alike. Claudia shared a close and loving relationship with her parents, Joan and Peter Lawrence, as well as a supportive circle of friends.
Completely eats into you all the time.
Her father, Peter, was a solicitor, known for his calm and steadfast demeanour. Claudia's family took a keen interest in her life and were always there to support her. She had an active social life, frequently going out with friends and keeping in regular contact with her family. Described as kind and vibrant, Claudia's warm personality meant she was rarely alone, despite living by herself. The last confirmed sighting of Claudia was on March 18, 2009, at approximately 3:05 p.m, when she was seen walking along Heworth Road after running errands. Later that evening, she spoke to her mother on the phone. During their casual conversation, Claudia discussed her plans for work the next day. Nothing in her tone or words hinted at any trouble, making it all the more chilling in hindsight. This call would later be remembered as a haunting reminder of the ordinary moments before her mysterious disappearance. Claudia was scheduled to begin her shift at 6 a.m. on March 19th, but her failure to report to work that morning raised immediate concerns. Known for her reliability, Claudia's absence was out of character. When her colleagues tried to contact her and received no response, they alerted her parents. That same day, her father Peter decided to visit her home to check on her. Upon arrival, he found the house undisturbed.
I had a telephone call from Susie, one of Claudia's best friends, and she was very concerned that she hadn't been able to contact Claudia. I was extremely worried because Claudia is always constantly in touch with her friends.
The kitchen was tidy, her bed was made, and there were no signs of a struggle or forced entry. However, certain essential items, including her keys, work bag and phone, were missing, suggesting that she had left the house as if intending to go to work.
Slipped upstairs just to have a quick look in the bedroom, and everything looked okay there. I was worried enough to call the police. 2 officers were around at the house within about 5 minutes, and they were taking it very seriously.
As the hours passed, the family's worry grew, and on March 20th, they reported Claudia's disappearance to the police. North Yorkshire Police launched a comprehensive investigation, treating the case as suspicious. Officers and volunteers worked tirelessly, searching for any trace of Claudia. What initially seemed like a straightforward case soon evolved into one of the region's most challenging and unsettling missing person investigations. Despite widespread media coverage and public interest, no breakthroughs emerged in the early days, leaving Claudia's family in agonizing uncertainty. The investigation began at Claudia's home, which, while offering few tangible clues, raised several significant questions. The absence of any signs of forced entry or struggle suggested that Claudia might have left willingly or had allowed someone she trusted into her home. Her car was still parked outside, indicating she had not driven to work. All the items she would typically take with her were gone, further supporting the theory that she had departed intending to return. Police focused heavily on reconstructing Claudia's daily routine to identify any potential risks or unusual activity. She was known to walk to work early each morning, following a well-trodden route through quiet residential streets. This routine made her movements predictable, leading investigators to consider the possibility that someone familiar with her schedule might have intercepted her. Search teams meticulously combed the surrounding neighborhoods and open areas near her home, looking for any signs of what might have happened. As part of their door-to-door inquiries, officers spoke with local residents, asking if they had noticed anything suspicious during the early hours of March 19th. Despite their thorough efforts, few significant leads emerged. CCTV footage from the area was also reviewed. While it provided a clearer picture of the neighborhood, no footage captured Claudia during the critical time frame when she would have been walking to work. This lack of corroborating evidence added to the frustration of the investigation. One critical piece of information came from an analysis of Claudia's phone records. Investigators discovered that her phone was switched off at approximately 12:08 a.m. on March 19th, just hours before she was due to start her shift. The last signal from the phone was traced to an area near her house. This sudden and unexplained disconnection raised suspicions but did little to clarify what had happened.
So it looked to me as though she'd probably just gone off to work.
The absence of physical evidence at Claudia's home or along her route added to the complexity of the case. Police considered the possibility that Claudia had been approached by someone she knew and trusted. This theory led them to scrutinize her social circle, including acquaintances, neighbors, and anyone who might have had a motive to harm her.
Who made a comment which changed everything for Claudia, for us, and for the way the whole investigation was going to go forward.
The notion that someone close to Claudia could be involved introduced a chilling dimension to the investigation, leaving her family and friends to grapple with questions they could not answer. As days turned into weeks, the lack of progress weighed heavily on everyone involved. The community rallied around Claudia's family, offering support and holding on to hope. However, the unanswered questions surrounding her disappearance only deepened the sense of loss and uncertainty that has lingered ever since. The North Yorkshire Police carried out one of the most comprehensive and meticulous investigations in their history following the disappearance of Claudia Lawrence. York and the surrounding areas became the focus of a large-scale operation, with officers and volunteers combing through parks, open fields, streams, and even abandoned buildings in search of any clue that might explain her fate. Despite the enormous effort, no solid evidence about what happened to Claudia was uncovered, leaving everyone involved frustrated and heartbroken. Investigators considered several potential scenarios as they worked to piece together the mystery. One possibility was abduction.
I would like to stress that the searches that you will see in the coming days are just one of several active lines of inquiry which are currently being investigated and pursued by the North Yorkshire Police Major Investigation Team in our efforts to establish what happened to Claudia.
Given that Claudia disappeared during her early morning walk to work, there was concern that she might have been forcibly taken during those quiet hours. The timing and location suggested she could have been vulnerable, and this theory was treated seriously, even though there was no physical evidence to support it. Another theory centered around the idea of a known attacker. Claudia's vibrant social life meant she had a wide circle of acquaintances and friends, some of whom came under scrutiny during the investigation. While police found no definitive evidence implicating anyone, several individuals in her social circle were identified as persons of interest. This theory raised the chilling possibility that someone she knew and trusted could have been involved. A third possibility was that Claudia had been the victim of a random act of violence. However, this scenario appeared less likely due to the absence of any signs of a struggle at her home or along her usual walking route. The lack of obvious conflict or physical evidence made it difficult for investigators to pursue this line of inquiry with confidence. Despite pursuing these theories rigorously and following numerous leads, the investigation repeatedly hit roadblocks. Claudia's case remained unsolved, with no witnesses coming forward, no conclusive evidence, and no clear direction for the inquiry to follow.
There were more than 100 officers involved, 70 volunteers, police reinforcements brought in from surrounding forces, sniffer dogs, fingertip searches taking place.
Over the years, the mystery of her disappearance has continued to fuel speculation and debate, keeping her story in the public eye, but providing little solace to those seeking answers. A significant obstacle in the investigation has been the persistent silence surrounding Claudia's case. Senior Investigating Officer Wayne Fox described this lack of cooperation as the single barrier preventing the case from being resolved.
I cannot say at this stage how long the search will take to complete. However, I anticipate that specialist officers, staff, including underwater search teams and forensic experts, are likely to be here for a number of days.
Fox expressed his belief that someone, or perhaps multiple people, likely knew what had happened to Claudia but had chosen to remain silent. He issued repeated public appeals, urging anyone with information to come forward, even anonymously, and emphasized that even the smallest detail could be crucial. Despite these efforts and the promise of confidentiality, no significant new leads emerged. The lack of witnesses, definitive evidence, or a clear motive left investigators grappling with a case that seemed to defy resolution. For Claudia's family, this silence was especially painful, prolonging their suffering and leaving them without the answers they desperately sought. Claudia's disappearance had a profound and lasting impact on her family. Her mother, Joan, turned to her faith as a source of strength, using it to cope with the loss and maintain hope. Joan has worked tirelessly to keep Claudia's story in the public consciousness, repeatedly calling for information and refusing to let her daughter's case be forgotten. Her father, Peter Lawrence, became a tireless advocate for Claudia's recovery and for missing persons' families in general. He fought to keep her case in the spotlight and worked to enact Claudia's Law, a legal reform that granted families of missing persons greater control over financial and legal matters. His dedication to helping others in similar situations earned him widespread respect and recognition, culminating in his being awarded an OBE in 2018. Tragically, Peter passed away in 2021 without ever learning the truth about what happened to his daughter. More than a decade after Claudia's disappearance, in August 2021, police launched a major search operation in Sand Hutton, a small village near York. This effort focused on gravel pits that had been identified as a potential area of interest during earlier intelligence reviews. Advances in search technology and renewed examination of existing intelligence led authorities to prioritize this location. The gravel pits were particularly notable due to their remote and secluded nature, which could have made them an ideal place to hide evidence. Using cutting-edge tools such as ground-penetrating radar, specialized officers conducted an exhaustive search of the area. The operation attracted significant public attention and reignited hope that the mystery might finally be solved. For weeks, officers worked diligently, scouring the site for any trace of Claudia or clues about her fate. Despite the scale of the operation and the advanced technology employed, the search ultimately yielded no new information. The absence of fresh evidence was a devastating setback, serving as a grim reminder of how elusive the truth remained. This development was another heartbreaking chapter in the ongoing search for answers. For Claudia's family, the lack of progress underscored the immense difficulty of pursuing justice in the face of silence and uncertainty. While the police have emphasized that the case remains open, the challenges of investigating such a long-standing mystery are undeniable. The tragedy surrounding Claudia's disappearance was compounded in 2023 by another devastating loss. Her childhood friend, Lisa Welford, was tragically killed by her violent ex-partner, Vincent Morgan. Lisa and Claudia had been inseparable during their school years, and their bond was well known to those who knew them. In a horrific act of domestic violence, Morgan, who had a history of abusive behavior, attacked Lisa under the guise of helping her. He held her head underwater in the River Derwent before launching a brutal assault. Although bystanders managed to rescue Lisa from the water, her injuries, including a brain bleed and multiple broken bones, proved fatal, and she died in the hospital. The senseless loss of Lisa added another layer of grief for those who had already endured so much. Joan Lawrence, who fondly recalled Lisa as Claudia's shadow during their childhood, was deeply affected by the tragedy. The pain of losing two cherished individuals in such tragic and unresolved circumstances has been an enduring source of sorrow for their loved ones. As of 2024, the case of Claudia Lawrence remains unsolved. Authorities continue to appeal for information, emphasizing that even the smallest detail could provide the breakthrough they need. The silence surrounding her disappearance remains the greatest hurdle for investigators, leaving them and Claudia's family in a state of perpetual uncertainty. Perhaps the truth about what happened to Claudia Lawrence is still out there, waiting for someone to come forward. Her disappearance remains one of the most haunting and unresolved cases in modern history, a stark reminder of the pain caused by unanswered questions and the enduring hope for justice.